So, have you ever worked in a pawn shop before? No, I haven't, but I have in many other places, like with a couple of CPA firms. One thing that made the popular reality TV show Pawn Stars so interesting to watch was how diverse the cast was. 3 of the main cast members were related by blood across 3 generations. The youngest was Corey Harrison, also known as Big Hose. His grandfather had died, and his father wanted to retire. Now, Corey is in the running to replace his father as the boss of the gold and silver pawn shop. However, behind the scenes, Corey had to deal with a lot of personal problems and heartbreaking tragedies. Let's look at the interesting parts of Corey's life and see where he is now. More than a few people have seen Corey before thanks to his deep knowledge, big attitude, and continued being at the shop is known all over the world. The United States gave Corey his name on April 27, 1983, in Las Vegas. His parents are Kim and Rick Harrison, and his grandfather was the late Richard Benjamin Harrison. They all ran the gold and silver pawn shop in Las Vegas. Not much is known about Corey's childhood, but he has 5 other siblings, including Adam and Jake. When he was 9 years old, Corey started working at the family's pawn shop. He had the same drive as his father when his grandfather opened a 300-foot used gold and silver coin shop on Las Vegas Boulevard South in 1981. They sold old and cool sports gear and other things at first, but jewelry ended up being their best-selling item. Over time, their Las Vegas business grew bigger and more well-known, eventually catching the attention of the History Channel. This led to the creation of Pawn Stars. The show's first season aired in July 2009 thanks to an idea from Brett Montgomery and Colby Gaines from Left Field Pictures, who thought pawn shops had interesting people. They found the gold and silver pawn shop near the Las Vegas Strip, and the rest is history. Even though most people pawn jewelry, the Harrison family quickly became famous because of the show, with a huge number of viewers, lots of good reviews, and fans who couldn't get enough. The show has continued to grow, returning for a 6th season. Corey and his dad had a fight because Corey wanted a bigger role in the family business. He even demanded 10% of the business or threatened to quit the gold and silver pawn shop. In the end, his father and grandfather, who owned the majority of the company and were co-owners, agreed to give him a 5% share with the option of increasing it later. Corey accepted the deal, and it is likely that his share of the company has grown since then, though Rick still owns most of it. Corey may get more from his father in the future. He has clearly shown great skills in running the business day to day. For example, Chun Li, who is now like family to Harrison, got a job at the shop thanks to Corey when he was 21. Anyone who has watched the show would agree that Chun Li became one of the most interesting and important parts of it over time. Even better, Rick and Chun Li showed up on iCarly as guests in an episode called I Went Crazy in Vegas in July 2014, when the History Channel started a game show called Pornography. Rick, Corey and Chun Li played against contestants to keep them from winning cash and things from their shop. They also appeared on a number of popular TV shows. After learning how to spot fakes, hire and fire employees, and deal with eBay customers, Corey eventually took over running the shop and managing over 30 employees. Reports say he has bought more items for the shop than any other employee. When asked how he learned to spot valuable items, he said he learned by doing. Corey told a tough lesson he learned the hard way. When I was 19, I thought I knew everything, so I bought 5 fake Rolex watches. Luckily, I worked for my dad, or I'd be out of a job after losing a bunch of money. He said, "Don't make that mistake again." Some of the most valuable things Corey has seen come into the pawn shop are rare sports memorabilia, fancy jewelry, and famous people's clothes. But there have also been some shocking items. He remembered a man coming in with a trunk full of silver worth a few $1,000,000. Since their shop is close to the Las Vegas Strip, gamblers often come in to pawn valuable items for more money to play games. One extreme case was a man pawning his Ferrari at 7 a.m., along with live parrots and human skulls from a dental school. Corey wisely decided not to take the skulls because he could have been in trouble with the law. With his years of experience, the pawn shop has turned down its fair share of strange items. Looking at the shop's past through Corey's eyes is very interesting. Corey also talked about how his family went from having nothing to being very successful. At a news conference, he said, "When we didn't have much money, my dad sold fake Gucci bags at the swap meet. I never thought we'd be on TV in 150 countries and 38 languages." That was when the show was getting ready for its 15th season, and Corey was learning how to take over from his father, whose experience had taken the business to great heights. Fans thought the change would be easy, but it might not be as smooth as they thought. Hope on the show, Corey and his dad often fought because they had different ideas about antiques and what to buy. In earlier episodes, these fights sometimes involved his grandfather. Harrison. Besides business choices, Corey and Rick also didn't agree on Corey's place in the shop. Rick thought Corey still had to prove himself. Corey thought his dad was unfair to him. Corey also had weight problems for a long time. He was called the fat guy on Pawn Stars, and at his biggest, he weighed 402 pounds. In 2010, his doctor put him on diabetes prevention drugs. Realizing that he was at risk of getting diabetes was a wake-up call for him. Corey made up his mind to do something, so he had surgery on his lap bin. Corey lost 50 pounds in the first 6 weeks and another 100 pounds by the end of the first year. His transformation was amazing, and he continued to get regular checkups and adopted a healthier lifestyle. He said, "I could never go back to weighing as much as I did. It made me realize what I ate, how I ate, and what I did to myself. It was a wow moment." Later that year, Corey was in a scary motorcycle accident and had to jump off his bike while going 40 miles per hour to avoid a serious crash. His bike broke down while he was going to get supplies for his birthday party. Instead of going to the hospital right away, he went to the party, and eventually had surgery on his hand, where doctors put in 8 screws and 2 plates. Despite the close call with death, he thought he was lucky to be alive. However, tragedy struck again in June 2018 when Harrison died at 77 years old from Parkinson's disease. Corey and his father Rick were very upset about the loss of one of Pawn Stars' most beloved cast members later that year. Corey also had personal problems. In September 2018, just months after his grandfather's death, he divorced his second wife Karina Kiki Harrison. They said that their busy work schedules were the reason for their split, but they stayed friendly and had a son together. In October 2018, Richard Benjamin Harrison came out in September 2023. Corey was arrested in Las Vegas after a police officer saw him driving erratically. The officer thought he was drunk and gave him a field sobriety test, which he failed. He was taken to the Las Vegas City Jail, which was another difficult time in his life. The test results from the blood sample weren't immediately available, so he had to be detained on suspicion of driving while impaired. While drunk, the police were right when the findings came in. Corey was so drunk that he was charged with driving while impaired. The TV star told a Las Vegas newspaper that he was going to hire a lawyer to protect himself. He said, "I'm not going to say screw you. Metro, it should be allowed to drink and drive." Harrison said, "I'm not trying to be that guy, but if you punch me in the face, I'm going to fight back." He also said that he had only one drink on his flight to Vegas 7 hours before he was pulled over, and that he didn't drink again after landing. Corey said that his car tends to veer to the right, which could be why he didn't do well on the sobriety test. He said that he was unsteady because of an infected shin and thought that he had trouble keeping his balance because the road where he was pulled over was uneven. Harrison also said that while the sobriety test was going on, police had to take care of an emergency call. When the police cars sped by, Corey talked about his state of mind and how hard it was to balance on one leg instead of the other. He also told his friends that his license wasn't suspended because of what happened. A year later, in January 2024, Corey lost his brother Adam Harrison. Adam died too soon at the age of 39. A spokesperson for Clark County, Nevada, stated that the man died of an overdose of fentanyl and methamphetamine. The county's medical examiner said the death was an accident. When Adam hadn't been seen since January 17, someone at the motel where he was staying got worried. They told the owner, who went into Adam's room with an extra key and found him not responding. He called the police right away. Corey was very sad about the sudden death of his brother Bubba. He shared a picture of the two of them as kids on Instagram and wrote, "I'll always love you, Bubba." On January 19, Harrison posted a picture of himself and Adam at a restaurant on Instagram and wrote, "You'll always be in my heart. I love you, Adam." On January 22, Laura Hervik, who speaks for the family, said that Adam died from taking too much fennel. She said, "We are very sad about Adam's death. Please give us space as we grieve for him." Rick also, Corey and Adam's dad, talked about the federal problem and said it needs more attention. After Rick posted a touching message about his son Adam, many people sent their condolences. Even Donald Trump Jr. wrote, "I'm really sorry, man." Since Adam Harrison wasn't on Pawn Stars, he worked at Gold and Silver Pawn before becoming a plumber. Corey had said that Adam didn't really want to be on the show. Corey and the rest of the Harrison family had to mourn Adam's death for a while, but during that time, rumors spread that Corey had a major health scare. Some said it was a stroke, while others thought it was a very serious medical problem. The truth is that there is no solid evidence to back up the talk about Corey's health scare, and neither Corey nor any other member of the Harrison family has confirmed or denied these claims. Corey has been through a lot of changes and problems lately, but he is still alive. He, his father Rick, and his friend Chim Lee starred in Pawn Stars Do America Season 2 together. Corey also works at a pawn shop, and there are rumors that a project for a new season is in the works. This journey through Corey's life shows a man who, beyond the fame of TV, has been through tragic personal losses and struggles, from health problems and a near-fatal accident to legal problems and health problems. Corey has shown a lot of strength. Pawn Stars may have brought Corey into the lives of many fans, but it was his strength in the face of tragedy that really touched them. Even though he still wants to be captain of the Gold and Silver Pawn Shop like his father and grandfather, fans will always be reminded of what the man known as Big Hose is really like.